A dash of mystery, a sparkle of magic, and all things cozy. Join your host, Elle Hartford, for Cozy Alchemy, a proud member of the Authors on the Air network. Hello and welcome to Cozy Alchemy, the podcast all about cozy, cat-themed books. I'm Elle, and my guest today is Debbie De Louise, author of some supernatural mysteries and several other mystery series we will get to in just a minute. But first, Debbie is going to start us off with a game of two truths and a lie.
Yes, okay.
You're up.
Sorry. My cat was jumping up on the chair and I got distracted.
That's a good excuse.
Okay, so I've published 24 books.
Ooh.
My cozy series are the Cove Cozy Mysteries, the Buttercup Cozy Mysteries, and the Meadows Lake Mysteries. My latest book is a Gothic-type mystery called Looking for Lucy. So which one is a lie?
Okay, so that's your three. Oh, okay. I am going to guess. These are all very good book-themed ones. I like that. We're on point. I am going to guess that the first one is the lie, the number of books that you've published.
Correct. I just published Looking for Lucy is the 24th book.
Ah, congratulations.
The titles of the series. So Cobble Mysteries is correct. The Buttercup Mysteries is correct, but the Meadows Lake Mysteries is not. It's Soup the Supernatural Cat Mysteries. The others are named after the towns, and Meadows Lake is the name of the town, but that's not how we name the series.
And, that's so funny. I should have gotten that one too if I was thinking. Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because that is the series that, I mean, of course, we'll get to the other ones too, but that's the series that we're kind of highlighting today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how it got started?
New series. It's the first book of the first book is Murder at Meadows Lake Clubhouse. This is the book.
Very nice.
You see the cat is on the cover, the orange cat. And what happened, the book features a psychic widow named Rose, who moves to a South Carolina community called Meadows Lake, where she finds a kitten that talks and has other powers. The two end up working together to solve the murder of a local cook. There's also two love interests for Rose, the sheriff and the realtor who lives in her community. But you were asking how it got started. Well, it got started basically because, I, very similar to Rose, I'm not a widow, but I moved to South Carolina from New York, from Long Island, 2 years ago. And we brought our two cats here. But my daughter adopted a cat here, Soup. Her name actually is Soup. And I used that name because it's an unusual name. But she is, and also orange cats are normally male. She's a female. I had a female years ago, a female orange tabby. But my daughter adopted this cat, and then so I wanted to write something different. I mean, I have cats in most of my books, but I wanted to feature something. I've written paranormal stuff too, but I wanted to feature a cat, a paranormal cat, and because Soup is the real Soup, the cat Soup. She has Catitude. I don't know if you know that term.
Yeah.
I mean, she came into a house with two older cats. They're 7 years old, but Soup, when she came in, she was only a couple months old. And yet she took control. I mean, it was funny because they're big cats. I have a male and a female. They're siblings. They're brother and sister. And Soup just took over the house and not afraid of anything. You think they're big cats. She'd be afraid. No, she put them in their place. So I said, I've got to feature a cat with that type of personality. And that's what I did. So this Soup, the dialogue, the way she talks to Rose, it's a little, it's got its Catitude. It's her personality.
Yeah. I love that. That's so fun. Well, and I have to say, that's such a fun, I guess, coincidence that your daughter's cat's name was Soup, because I just assumed, Soup is a perfect shortening of supernatural, right? So I
Oh,
assume that they went
I
together.
didn't see that, but the reason I was thinking of it is because there's a cook in the book.
Ah, of course.
Soup as in the food, like somehow that would be
Yeah.
connected. And she is connected, and I don't, there's twists in the book I don't want to say, but there is a connection between the cook and Soup and the cat's.
Fair, fair. Yeah, we'll leave that for readers to discover. But that is a lot of fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, and now you said you've written mysteries before that have a paranormal element, right? So, how do you approach writing mysteries with that paranormal addition? Like, are there special things that you keep in mind?
We don't follow any particular rules. It's all fiction,
Mm-hmm.
so I create my own paranormal parameters. And it's usually a blend of fantasy and supernatural. So I hope it's fun for readers because I enjoy writing it. And because my very first book actually, before I started writing series, was a paranormal romance. And it had a cat and it was called Cloudy Rainbow. And that is my only romance. Most of my books are mysteries. But there is a mystery in this book and there is a paranormal theme. So that was the one. And since then I've written short stories with paranormal themes. This is the first series that's paranormal.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. Nice. Your answer just brings something to mind. We've had a couple different mystery authors on the podcast who say that, I've written, so many mysteries, but my first book or my first series maybe was romance. Uh, that's so funny. Was it, you see, you had a mystery in your romance, so was it pretty easy to make that
Yeah,
switch?
well,
Yeah.
all of my mysteries have a little room. Most of them I feature
Hmm.
as a subplot. There's usually a mystery, a romance.
Mm-hmm.
The also my series, the Cove series, when I wrote the first book, A Stone's Throw, I thought it was a romantic suspense. But then when it was published, I mean, it had cozy elements, but that one had a big theme of romance. It was large. Sometimes the romance is a subplot and it's like second to the mystery,
Right.
but the mystery is the main plot. But in this one, there was a lot of romance. I thought it was going to be a romantic suspense because I used to read a lot of those books. But then readers were reviewing it as a cozy mystery, and then I decided to write the second one, and then it became a series, and then now it has more cozy elements. Like it's gotten the
I
sixth book. Now it
see.
has 6 or 7 books. So now I've
Yeah.
added more cozy elements. But the first one I thought was romantic suspense, but it really is cozy.
That's neat how it kind of evolves as you go along, right? Yeah. Okay, but to get back to our paranormal kitten, you make up your rules kind of as you're going along, but so how did you decide like how soup was going to work and what soup could do? Did that just kind of come as you were writing?
Pantser, which means like I
Hmm.
just have an idea and I just start writing. I mean, I have outlines, but mostly it's characters. I don't really plan what I'm writing. It just get the idea and I just keep writing.
Mm-hmm.
But with Soup, like I said, I based it on the new cat. So I kind of pictured if she could talk, what would she say? How would she sound? How would she act? And, because I have my other cats in my books too, not as paranormal, but I have them in my Buttercup
Mm.
series. But she's the only cat in this series right now. Who knows? Because I did add in Cobble Cove, I did add another cat. So who knows? And then the cats started talking to one another, and that also evolved. So,
Okay.
yeah. But basically, real cats they require routine. It's like their personality. It's very simple. They want to
Hmm.
eat, they want to sleep, they want to play, and they want to do these things at specific times. And if you go out and you come home, they're mad at you. If you're late and you haven't fed them, and then they want you to play with you, you'll see that they'll hang around you. And when they want to eat, forget it. So if anybody has a cat, they will understand what I'm saying.
Yep.
But, so when you make you create a character, a cat character, I mean, they're going to be cat-like, even if they're talking or even if they have powers of some sort. But they're still going to have a cat-like personality. So
Mm.
that's how I, I
Hmm.
I thought of my own cat and what she does and how she acts, and then I took it from there and I made the cat soup, the character, the cat character soup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. And what I really like about it is the idea that, paranormal elements or even fantasy, that it kind of grows from what the character is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
Characters are very important. I find, like, because I'm a reader too. I mean, I wish I had more time to read because I'm
Mm.
writing, but I find that especially with cozy mysteries, especially. And of course, there are different types. There are cozies with recipes. There are cozy with with the pets, with paranormal. There's different types of cozies, but
Mm-hmm.
characters are the main thing. I think readers want to know about the characters, and the quirkiness of the characters makes the cozy. And,
Yeah.
as the series evolves, they want to follow the character. What happens? How does the character grow? How changes in the character's life? If they get married, if they're dating somebody, if they're, different things that happen in the series. But characters are very, in anything, I think in any book, characters, but I think more so in cozy mysteries and mysteries in general too, because you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find out who done it. So you want to know the characters.
Fair. Absolutely. And now, because we've talked about how you've created soup, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little and ask, how do you go about creating your human characters with that in mind?
Well, I don't model them over real people. Um,
Mm.
Sometimes I do take traits from people I know, but it's not like I'm copying somebody. I might, feature somebody that I know, um, some of their traits, but not totally.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just sort of, well, my main character in the Cobble Cove series is a librarian. So, of course, I think my main characters really have a lot of my own personality, like that, like Alicia, because she's a librarian, and then I had my other series in my Buttercup Ben series. She's a pet rescue owner, and because of not that I've ever done that, I don't rescue pets. I know a lot of people do. I mean, I rescued my own pets or rescues, but
Mm.
but the thing is, because of the way I feel about animals, and even though she's not a librarian, she also had some of my. So I think that's
Right.
how I modeled the main character. And
Yeah.
Rose, of course, um, like I said, I'm not a widow, I'm married, but the thing is, Rose was a widow, but she lost her beloved cat and her husband very close together. And because of this, she needed a change, and her best friend suggested she move, that she doesn't stay in the same house where she lived with her husband and her cat. It would bring back
Oh,
a lot of memories. But I'm not
yeah.
going to go through the whole thing, but what I'm going to say is that, so even though I'm not, really Rose, the point is, I did move, and I know what that's
Mm.
like. I went to community. A lot of what happened to me, I put into that book. Because I wrote it
Yeah.
after my move. A lot of my other books were written before my move. So,
Right. Right. Well, and that we've talked before with different guests on the podcast about how writing about things that have happened to you, even if the main character isn't you, it's helpful, right? Like it just helps you kind of process, and it does give you like these.
yeah. And
Uh,
it's funny because sometimes as you're writing, you'll recall something that happened to you. And
mm,
even with my cats too, things that they have done. And sometimes I feature them in the book. I fictionalize
mm,
things. You want to fictionalize it, but a lot of it is based on my own experience, and it comes out, and it's very. I think it's cathartic because you get these feelings out of what really would happen to you, and the memories of the cats, and memories of other things that happened in your life, and they come into your writing. And I think that's what makes people enjoy reading it because they can identify with some of those feelings and some of those memories. I know I do when I read books. I come across certain books that I can identify with the characters or with what's going on within their lives. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Kind of building on that note, we have mentioned you've got a couple other, you've got other series, you've got other genres. So I had to ask, what do you enjoy about switching between series or between genres?
well, the first thing is, even in my reading even, I like to
Mm-hmm.
because I used to be a librarian and I used to be an avid reader, and I always found that when I like to read different genres, first of all. I've read the cozies, I've read the gothic type mysteries, the romantic suspense. I don't read a lot of romance, I gotta be honest, but I read a lot of mysteries, even science fiction. I like to try different authors in different genres. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel as a writer, I don't want to be peg-holed into a specific slot or formula for my fiction. I know there are authors who follow a formula. I'm not going to name particular authors, but I'm going to say that I might like their first book, but then when I read something else by them, I say, this is familiar, or the way they're writing, I know exactly what's going to happen. So I don't want to write like that. Every one of my books is different. Now my series, they follow a pattern because I have the same characters, but I also change things. I change what's happening to them and in their lives, and I have twists that come in the books, and I write them differently. Some of my books I've written first person, others are third person, others are I go back like my C scope. I go back in time and it
Mm-hmm.
goes back and forth to what happened with her as a child. She discovered a body with her brother and they were near a lighthouse, and I go back and I tell that story. So they're all different. Sometimes I tell stories by the character's point of view, and each character, that cloudy rainbow, each character had a chapter. So I write them differently. And
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy writing them differently. I don't want to, like I said, follow a specific pattern because I want readers to say, I know certain readers, they only like cozies, or they only like this, or they only, but I know people that do, and like myself, like to read different books and different genres, and also, um, you don't want to say, this author only writes like this, or I know the
Mm-hmm.
formula, I know what they write. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be different. I want to appeal to different readers.
Do you find that having read very widely helps you when you're,
Oh,
writing in
definitely.
different ways? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Because, not that you follow somebody. I mean, I used to have models that when I was younger, I loved these authors and I would think to myself, I'd love to write like them. But you know what? You do learn a lot by reading, but it's not like you're copying somebody, but you're learning the techniques. And because I read different genres and I read different authors, I was able to absorb some of that to put into my own writing.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, as I was setting up for this interview, doing my research, I was looking through your website, of course, and I see you've contributed to a lot of anthologies, and you have a blog where you feature other authors' books. Um, Book tours, right? Is what we call it in the author world. And because you and I met originally through Sisters in Crime, I just wanted to ask you, like, how can authors help each other?
There are a lot of ways that authors can help one another. I know other authors have helped me,
Hmm.
but big ways is, as you just said, you could feature an author on your blog and as a spotlight, or some of the authors go on blog tours. That's like I feature a lot of blog tours, and I did forget to mention that I have two blogs. So I have the one that's on my website, Rough Drafts, and
Mm-hmm.
of course my newsletter comes out from that, Debbie's Drafts. But I also have my cat characters blog, Sneaky the Library Cat, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, I think. But I
Yeah.
want to just mention that there's two blogs. But anyway, as far as authors appearing on blogs, that's a great way to help another author. Reviewing is very important if an author can read, but I know it's time consuming. I wish I had time to read more authors' books. I read indie authors, I try, but I end up, not having the time between my own writing and everything else. But they don't have to read the book either. What they could do is share posts. Like, let's say an author puts a post on Facebook about their book. They could share that post with, their followers, and that's a very good way to support an author. So those are the various ways, you can help an author.
And you said you've had authors have helped you along the way, right?
Well, with my publishers, I belong to their groups, and a lot of the authors within the group have helped me. And I had a friend before I moved. We used to go together to, sell our books at these book fairs and so on.
Ah,
And
yeah.
she is very good that way, where she'll share my stuff on Facebook, and so we share one
Mm-hmm.
another's stuff, and that's how they've been helping me. And like, I've learned from, I had a mentor once with Sisters in Crime, and that was to
Mm.
get an idea of how I'm gonna schedule my series, because now I have three. I started with one, and then I added another one, so she helped me with that.
Ah, that's lovely. Yeah. It's so neat. I think we write about communities in our books, and then we have like real life communities as well. That there's always a big community behind every book. All right. So, what is next for you? I know you just had a book come out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just published Looking for Lucy, the Gothic
Ooh,
type
yeah.
mystery I was just saying. What's really cool
Mm-hmm.
about this book is that, because now this, as I mentioned before, I have a couple of standalones, okay, standalone
Mm-hmm.
mysteries. But this is the first one, because it's more of a family mystery involving a family, that I have. I'll take a quick, I don't know if you can see from here, but there's a family chart. It's hard to see. Like a family
Yeah.
tree, which is
Mm-hmm.
something new that I added to the book. Like with Seascope, I added lighthouse trivia. Well, this I try to add. I
I
I
see.
wrote a blog post about that. Added content that authors can add to a book. People add
Fun.
recipes there. So that's one different thing that I did that might help readers as they go through the book, because there's a diary in the book, and there's other stuff going on with the family.
Very cool.
And the other thing is that I have my Buttercup Bends. Now that series, it started with the case of the cat crazy lady, and I have cats in the book, 'cause she's a rescue person, I told you, but each book focuses on a different animal. So this is a little bit different than my Cove, which just has the cats, but so I had the case of the llama raising librarian. The
Nice.
So I've had the whales with the whale watching wedding planner.
Oh,
Oh, it
fun.
went on and on. The reptile was the last one. So now I have this next one is about a bullfighting builder, because she got
Oh.
married in the last one, the whale watching wedding planner, and then she
Mm-hmm.
got married. She went on a honeymoon, and of course there was a murder. And
Mm.
now she's building a house. So now there's going to be a murder. And there's, at the end of this one, it's under contract now. I don't know how long it'll be before the edits come, because I just finished one with them, and I have to get that one out. The new one. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. But that one is going to have a twist. And at the end, I did something different in this one. I have a cliffhanger. The mystery is
Oh.
solved, but I have a cliffhanger to the next book.
Oh
Like,
boy.
there's a reason.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
I haven't done that before. See, I try new things. So what else? Right.
Yeah.
So, and the big thing, okay, that I have to mention, I haven't mentioned on any podcast or anything before, is
Mm.
that I am going to publish a reference book, Cozy Mystery Pet Reference Book. Because on that blog I mentioned before, Sneaky the Library Cat, I've
Mm-hmm.
had interviews of other pets, not just cats, dogs, other animals. my cat
Mm-hmm.
has interviewed them. This was part of blog tours, but I'm using some of that, and I've spoken to the authors, and we're going to have a book that Red Penguin is going to publish it, Red Penguin Publishers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've compiled information, and I'm going to put that together when I have my break from these other books. But I'm starting that soon, and it's going
Fun.
to have the interviews of the animals, and then like in the back of the book, the index, they'll have the cat series, and whatever it is, and also the list of the authors, and their biographies and all that, what they publish. So if you were looking for a cat series, you'd be able to find them, and also read an interview of the cat in the series. So it's going to be interesting. So that's a big project that's coming up.
Yeah, what a fun idea. That is so cool. That's so cool. And it's such a good example of what can grow out of your blog, right? Like, did you ever have an idea that that was coming down the line when
No,
you started that
because
blog?
no,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many interviews I've done on this, because this has been going on for years. So like I
Mm,
think I had over 100 something interviews of these animals. So I have a lot
nice.
of interviews to draw from.
Yeah. That is so cool. All right, okay. I ask this of everybody. What advice would you give to yourself if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were just starting out?
What I would say is that a lot of time beginner writers, they're not really sure what they want to do, and they jump at the first publishing offer. And I think you've got to be careful. Some of them, they self-publish, but they do try. They might want an agent, or they might want to find a publisher, an indie publisher, whatever. But they've got to be careful and not just jump at their first offer. That's what I would say. And I would also say
Yeah.
they have to decide what they want first. I mean, there are a lot of options for publishing, whether you want to do self-publishing, whether you want to, you know, publish with a large publisher, then you need an agent. You've got to research the field and so on. And, but you need to seek support from other authors, as we were discussing, because there are, through writing groups are very helpful, not, online. um, you could have a local writing group. I run a writing group here in my community that I started. So
Nice.
you can support one another that way through different writing groups and attending conferences, the right ones. There's a lot out there. You've got to investigate. You've got to research. I think
Mhm.
that's the big thing, to research
Yeah.
and talk to other authors. Before I signed with my publisher, I spoke to authors who published with them. And I mean,
That
they're going to tell you because they publish with them, but they're honest. Authors are honest, and they will tell you because they know what you're going through, because they went through the same thing.
yeah. That is such a good practical piece of advice, I think. Yeah. That's so good. Is people, you think as a writer you just don't realize everything that happens after you send the book away. You know what I mean?
What goes into
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of readers are people who have never written a book, or have never, they read but they've never written one. They don't
Mm.
realize like how much time goes into it. Like they don't realize about the editing. It's not just the writing. I find the writing easy. I have to be honest. It's the editing and the marketing. Marketing is the toughest part, because you want to get
Yes.
your writing out there, but you also want to have time to write. It's very time consuming. So and
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. You've got to juggle a lot of balls, and even if you have a publisher today, even if you have an agent, you can't always sell your stuff. And even if you do, you've got to do your the, publishers aren't doing what they used to do years ago. There's so many books out there.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to be able to, I've had to learn a lot. I use Canva now to do graphics. I mean, I had to learn
Mm.
a lot, making up the blog, all this stuff, and then being on the
Mhm.
social media. Um, it's a learning experience. So when you first start out, it's like, you may not know what's going on. You may not understand, because when you're reading a book, you don't know what really went into it. And then
Sure.
eventually you learn. It's like as you go on, you learn.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes the hard way, but
Fair. Well, and you never stop learning,
No,
right? There's
this is
always something
that's
more.
well, that's one good thing, because it's interesting that, you can grow as an author and, like you could look at your old writing and see how it's improved and you can learn a lot from other authors, like I said.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah.
is.
That's a good one. Okay. We will get to our final question in just a minute. But first, is there anything that, like, I'll have your website and, of course, your bio in the show notes for people to check out. Is there any other way that you would like people to find you online?
Most of my stuff, I have, my Facebook author page as well as my personal page, but I do kind of put my writing on both.
Mm,
They're on both. But of course, I have my author news. I have my newsletter, which if
right.
people can sign up, if they go to my website, they can sign up. It's a pop-up form, and they can, I send it out once a month. Sometimes I send it out more often if I have a new release or if something else that I have to share. And I usually have a contest going on, a giveaway. Um, I just all my news, what's going on. It's once a month, and so they could subscribe to that.
All right. Excellent. Okay, we're going to end on a high note. Yeah, no problem. What is one win that you've had in the past week? It could be anything.
I submitted a short story for an upcoming cat anthology, and it's a publisher called Thalia Press, and they said they were putting out an anthology. They were looking for cat mysteries. Of course, that's right up my alley. Excuse the pun.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a little bit noir, noir
Mm,
writing,
mm-hmm.
and I came up with this title. Don't ask me. The Case of Sam Spade. If you know Sam Spade. And I
Yeah,
wrote it
yeah,
like a noir. I was able to write
yeah. Yeah.
it into. I waited and waited, and they said like there was a deadline date. Now, what I figured, when you get to a deadline date, usually they announce the winner, the people afterwards, like a little
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. Maybe it takes a couple. Sometimes it takes a few months. It
Yeah.
took so long. So what happened was I got an email from them saying, we have so many submissions, but be patient. If you want to sell your stuff, send your stuff somewhere else. You're free to do that. But it will be a few more months. So they told me when they might get back to me. So I wait until the time, and I didn't send it anywhere else. I was busy doing my others, writing my books. I was busy. It's just I put that aside.
Yeah.
So I get, I send them another email, say, have you made a decision yet? And they go, no, sorry, but we really are overwhelmed with submissions. And I'm like, oh my God, because I know when I've entered various contests and they've told me my piece was good, but they just had so many submissions they didn't accept it. So
Right.
I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. Suddenly, just out of the blue this week, I got an email from them. They said, we loved your piece and we would like to know if you haven't sold it anywhere else. We would like to feature it at
Aw,
the end of May. Their anthology will be coming out. So
nice.
it was a surprise because all this time, you forget about it, after a
Yeah.
while. Because I know, like with book publishers, they do take a year to publish a book, but this was more of like a contest thing. And it looks like they said it's going to be the first volume, so it looks like there's going to be more than one volume. But I'm waiting. They're supposed to get back to
Nice.
me with more details. So I'm not jumping the gun because they told me they're asking for it and they're telling me that they
Mm-hmm.
loved it. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like that story myself because I thought Sam Spade is,
That's cute. Yeah.
and the story is, well, people out. I don't even know what they're going to do
Yeah.
with the anthology yet, but that's the story.
Well, congratulations. That's very cool. All right, very cool. And now, Debbie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Elle. I enjoyed it. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
good. I'm glad. And for listeners, like I said, link and everything in the show notes, so go check that out. and I will talk to you next time. Cozy Alchemy is brought to you by Authors on the Air, and our theme music is by Cyberwave Orchestra. For everything else, blame Elle. You can find her online at ellehartford.com.